Hi guys, it's Michael from Bayhouse. Look, I'm really not a camera guy, but bloody Nathan from Fabulous has been pushing me to do an install video on the sliders, so here we are.
About f***ing time you did something, eh?
Bayhouse is an aftermarket automotive parts manufacturer specialising in recovery and protection. What we're showing you here today is a next-gen Ranger rock slider and why we think you should consider our product. We started Bayhouse because we couldn't find quality products in the market that we'd like to fit to our own vehicles, so we started manufacturing our own. Protection and recovery is a broad term. We specialise in rock sliders, recovery points and underbody protection. Today we're going to show you the Ford Ranger rock slider and some of its key features.
So one thing I noticed when we did the initial R&D on these for you was that you design and develop a product way different to what we do. Why do you do it the way you do?
What we do is we 3D scan the car, we design it in CAD to ensure that we have perfect fitment. This allows us to run through all different other simulations like stress analysis. We can spend hours detailing the part to ensure that all the lines align with the body, we can have all the right clearances. So when we go to manufacture it, we can tack it together like you did yourself and then offer it up to the vehicle, and it's
9 times out of 10
9 times
perfect,
out of
right?
10 it's a perfect product.
Which is what we found initially as well. So one thing I heard you say before was that you did a stress test.
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
So what we do is we offer up our product to a simulated chassis in 3D world, and what we do...
And by offer it up, you mean literally put it on a modelled chassis,
yes,
right?
Yeah. We have pin connections where your bolts go through the chassis, and we're able to simulate that bolted connection onto your chassis. We then apply a load to each point of the slider to make sure we don't get too much deflection and also over allowable stress of the parent material thickness. And yeah, so this pretty much shows us that when we build a product, we have faith that when it's used in the real world, it's not going to fail.
As opposed to how I would build it, which is build it in the car, go out the bush, have it hit the car, and then come back and start again.
Don't get me wrong, we still do that.
Where do you start when you design it?
So the hardest part when using 3D scan is that you have this model in 3D space. So what you have to do is make sure you have all your actual material for your vehicle, so your chassis, all your door seals and all that sort of stuff modeled, and you know where all those datums are.
Yeah.
You then offer up, typically I'll offer up the main rail, but then I'll build the mandrel bent pipe around that and just keep playing with dimensions till they're perfect.
Yeah.
I'll then build all of my chassis cut plates, so all of your U-press shapes here. I'll offer those up and then build all my mounts into that, see where I can strengthen it. And look, we typically spend hours doing this to make sure it's a perfect product.
And so I've seen some of these that are an L with this part welded on. You bend them, why?
Yeah, exactly right. So we try to make the fabricator's job as easy as possible. So what we do is we found suppliers who can actually W press these and actually press a complete U rather than having an L-shaped bracket, it cut off and then have we think quite an ugly weld come through this detail here.
Yeah, and it's obviously stronger too, right?
Yeah, exactly right. You don't have stress concentrations from weld. At the toe of a weld, you always get cold work steel and things like that and stress points. So look, it's just your parent material thickness. It's just a nicer material to work with and it's easier for a fabricator. When I model these, I also have all of my SHS jig into all the other parts. So as you can see here, this part here is a jigging tag. That'll offer up into our plate just like that. That plate will have a jigging tag in it, so the fabricator doesn't have to measure. He puts these together like a Lego kit or a Meccano kit. Same goes for the other side. That SHS jigs up into this SHS and gives its position X and Y.
Yeah, so it's literally a no-brainer to put it together.
Yeah, exactly right. So it removes the risk from our point of view manufacturing parts.
Talking about that being laser cut, I can't imagine many other people do that, right? Like, why do you laser cut it?
I'm not too sure how other people are manufacturing their sliders. I'm just taking industry preferred methods of manufacturing and applying them to automotive parts.
And by doing it that way, I would imagine you get better tolerances when the product is on the car.
That's exactly right. So for example, everything's CNC laser cut or CNC bent. So our laser cutters are typically 0.04 mil accuracy. This ensures when you offer up this car, you're not going to be 3 mil out on one end and you're going to see the angle of the slider drop down on one end. It's going to be perfectly level on your car.
So that way, literally anyone could bolt this to their car, jack up either end, bang a bolt through it, and it's going to be dead level. They know they're not going to touch when they go out the bush.
Yeah. We have faith when these are manufactured, they're going to fit your car perfectly.
And in fairness, when we did do the initial product, it was a piece of piss to put together.
Yeah,
very, very easy. One thing I've noticed is this bracket underneath here. It's dimple dyed, it's laser cut, and it's got these fully integrated rock lights.
Yeah, look, Nathan, we simply don't compromise on quality. We like to finish off our product as well as it's built, really. So you can see the rock lights, you can see all the custom machine aluminium cup washers. I guess we just wanted to provide a better quality, better finished product.
I was looking at this before, thinking about like how you got it in, how it mounted, what these do.
Yeah.
How do you put it together?
It's pretty straightforward. We have an aluminium infill plate that's just removed with a few bolts. Then you can access your lights. They come as a standard kit on a little bracket ready to install. It also comes with a little module. It's pretty straightforward. 2-bolt install. They're RGB lights, so red, green, blue. You can also make them white. You can control them with the phone.
Yeah.
Pretty cool little things, actually.
And so you do that from this side with this plate off?
Yeah, correct. So pretty much just pull your infill plate off. You have direct access to your lights. These are rock lights as well, so they're pretty hardy. They can be put through water, mud, sandblasted, you name it. And we also got drainage holes, so we try to think about everything when designing the actual product.
And I noticed this has got like a nice wanky dimple die in it. Why? Another quality thing?
I think there's nothing worse than just a straight cut edge hole, so.
I agree. Now that we're looking at the other side of the slider, tell me what we've got going on here. Because there is a bit.
First thing you see when you look at it is your contrast between your infill plate and your rock slider. We're using a ProTexture Dulux product.
So why ProTexture here?
ProTexture on the main part of the slider because it's incredibly scratch resistant. We really try to give the best coating we can on the sliders. So
you can actually use these to get in and out of the car without being worried about scratching.
Exactly right. And if you're hitting rocks and things like that, you don't want your powder coat to chip off and start rusting. These are blasted, primed and ProTextured. So pretty much is the best coating.
So even if you do get a rock flick up, hit the black, primer underneath,
yeah,
won't rust, not back to bare metal.
Absolutely right. So you might get a bit of powder crack, but you still got your primer underneath, so you covered.
Rust protection.
Exactly right. So then we've got the aluminium infill plate. You can see the contrast here. You got your Saturn versus your ProTexture. That's our standard offering. We actually offer also custom coated infill plates, custom coated sliders.
So fully customizable to whatever you want, which no one else offers, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Even down to our little cup washers, we offer a gold, a bronze, or a black. If you guys have other colours you want to see on our sliders, send us a message. We'll anodise them ourselves. These custom machines.
So basically, if I wanted this for my car and I liked pink, let's just say.
You do like pink.
You do this in pink for me.
Yeah, exactly right. So
right, yeah, that's cool. Because I feel like no one else on the market offers that.
No, everything's too by the book, or they're trying to streamline things. So it gives the end user or the buyer less options to customize their car. So this is an aftermarket part. You should be able to buy this any way you like it. It's going on your car.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like it. So looking at it with the ProTexture powder, it almost looks like a factory part, right?
Yeah, exactly right. That's sort of where we want to be. We don't want to be too in your face.
It caters for all audiences, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
I feel like, because everyone else does these satin black,
yeah,
super in your face, super easy to scratch, these look almost like a factory fitted product. And obviously the reason you did that is because your motto is quality over everything else, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Our motto is bringing quality back to Australian-made products, and we really stand by that. By using Australian companies' powder coating to give us a really factory look, down to local Australian suppliers like yourself, Nathan, powder coating and fabricating.
Yeah.
We designed it to
be a seamless finish on the car, right?
Exactly right, exactly.
It's something that you can bolt onto the car and not look like an eyesore.
You can have a standalone slider and it'll look like a factory part, or you can customize it. You can make it whatever color you want. You can chuck rock lights in it, and you can also get that aggressive aftermarket look as well if you want.
So I've got a set of these on my car, and the reason why I do is because they look like an OEM product, and that is one thing I feel like both of our brands share, right? It's making parts look like they're supposed to be there.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, and that's something we had in mind. We don't want to produce a product which is neither in your face or nor in your face.
It complements the vehicle perfectly.
You can have a really well-made OEM looking product, or you can customize your slider with your washers, your infill plates, your colors, your lights to actually make it look more aggressive on your vehicle as well. So yeah, both options.
While I've really enjoyed talking about these and going in depth into all of the features that make them much better than anything else in the market, let's go prove it by fitting it up on the car, right?
Let's do it, mate.
So now that we've had a chance to move the workshop around, let's get my car in and we're going to fit these sliders up. And what better person to do that than Ben, the other half of Bay House. Well, that's me out. Here you go, mate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I don't even know how to put this on.
So Ben, do you want to run the guys through what they get when they order a set of rock sliders?
Absolutely. So we're going to come with fasteners here. It'll come with instructions, this earth relocation cable. If you've ordered lights, it'll come with all the lights, bracketry and fasteners. And the most important part, stickers.
So before we take the rock sliders over to the vehicle, we have to install the rock lights first. If you haven't ordered rock lights with your sliders, this won't apply to you. Just pretty much go on to the next step. So what you'll have to do is install the rock lights onto the bracket with the bolts provided. Those brackets then get installed into the slider in the 3 positions you see behind me here.
So now that we've got the lights bolted in, our next step is bolting the infill plate on the top. So basically, sits over the top here, make sure all your cables are coming out through the little exit there, and drop on these bolts, the countersunks.
Now that these rock sliders are fitted up, we're going to take them over to the car and fit them on the ground.
Even though we've got access to a hoist, we're going to show you how to install these on the ground, as that's how 95% of you will be doing it.
Okay guys, what you can see here is 5 bolts laid out. This will secure the rock slider to the vehicle extremely well. We have allowed another hole in the front mount if you're a serious full driver and you want additional strength, but you can do that at your own discretion. When designing the rock sliders, we took into consideration the Bay House bash plate, so these 2 products are perfectly compatible. The front mount actually goes up behind your fuel filter and actually adds additional protection for it as well. Before we offer the rock sliders up to the chassis, what we're going to do is pull the clips off the chassis for ease of installation. Okay, so what's happening is Ben's offering me up the rock slider. The easiest way to do this is to both get underneath the rock slider and angle this front bracket up in place first. So that just scallops around the fuel filter mount, allows clearance.
So next step is we're going to get a jack under this center bracket. That way we can hold the slider up while we're doing the bolts up. Yeah, sweet.
Keep going a bit more.
Yeah, a touch more.
Don't be shy.
Keep going.
Yeah,
There we go.
that's it.
That's him.
So when offering the rock slider up to the vehicle, just make sure you pull your rock light harness away from the slider just to stop it being pinched. Just have a good look around your chassis, make sure all your lines are clearing, and just yeah, make sure it's up securely.
All right, so to get these 2 bolts through here, we're actually going to have to drop the fuel tank. So there's 2 straps holding this up here. So we've got a bolt in here and a bolt back here. They're both 15mm heads. So we take the front bolt out of the fuel tank strap entirely, and we just loosen the rear one up here just so it's still just hanging on a few threads here. We're going to get the bolts into this middle bracket, that way we can remove the jack, and we're actually going to utilize that to slowly lower the tank down to get these rear bolts in. We're going to lower this jack, that way we can move it back to the fuel tank. We're just going to use some spanners so we can get up in here beside the tank. Alright, sweet.
Okay.
So what we're going to do next is jack the tank back up, get a bolt back through these straps, and slide the bolts back through. I'm just going to use the ratchet to get the thread started to make sure we don't strip anything. And we're going in nice. So I'll move to the back now, do the same thing, and I think we're all good. Let's move to the rattle. We're going back to hand because we ran out of battery. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to get the bolt through the front bracket. It's a bit tight in here with the camera, so we'll show you that later once it's on the hoist. All right, so now that we've got the other side done, we're going to do the driver's side, which is comparably easier. So we're just going to start by sliding this into position and lifting it up.
These sliders are so easy to install, even an office can do it. So guys, you've seen us fit the rock sliders on the ground. We've got the car up on the hoist now, and we're just going to go through some key fixing locations and just point out some things to sort of identify and look out for when installing the rock sliders. We're going to start with the driver's side rock slider. It's the simpler side. Obviously there's no fuel tank and fuel lines and brake lines on this side. So it gives you a pretty good idea of where all the bolts go and how the slider actually mounts up onto the chassis. Working from back to front, the back mount has two bolts. One goes through the center of the chassis and one goes over the top. As you can see in the video, it's pretty clear and easy to get to there. Moving forward, we've got the center mount. It's very similar as well. However, it does have different length bolts. So these are M12 by 120s, where the rear is M12 by 130s. Once again, bolts from the inside out, pretty clear access to get to. Then moving to the front, so it's a little tighter in here, and there's only one bolt, so the slider clamp plate cups the chassis. And then you feed the M12 by 130 bolt from the inside of the vehicle to the out, and then there'll be a nut on obviously the outside of the vehicle here that you can do up. So another key point to mention is your jacking points for your slider and leveling the slider. So we found it's easiest if you jack off the center point, install your fasteners so the slider's hanging, get it nice and level and get those fasteners done up. You can then take a step back from the car and have a look at the levelness of your slider. If you're happy with it, just work from the rear, torque those fasteners up and then torque your front fasteners up. Just be mindful when you're offering the rock sliders up on your passenger side, you do have your lines running down the outside of the chassis. Just get someone to look and just feel as you go. What we found is the easiest way to install these rock sliders is get your sliders up into position, put your center bolts through, it'll hold under its own weight. Then you want to get your jack and place your jack underneath your fuel tank. And what you're going to do is there's two fuel tank straps that you're going to loosen off. So what you're going to do is you pull those fasteners out, slightly drop the tank down so you can get your top fastener in for the rear mount on your passenger side. So once you got that top bolt in the rear, it's the same job as the driver's side. You're just going to take a step back, make sure your sliders are level, fasten up your middle clamp, fasten up your rear clamp, fasten up your front clamp. And that's about as simple as it is, guys. One of the things to note, guys, is the driver's side front mount for the rock slider actually covers up an existing earth mount. So what we've done is we fabricated an earth strap which is going to run from your body and earth back to the other side of the chassis just to give us some clearance. This was the strongest way that we're able to mount this slider to the car and ensure that the sliders are actually going to do their job. Okay guys, that concludes the mechanical install of the sliders.
So as far as the electrical side goes, basically all we've done is we've brought in each individual wire up in split Korogu and we've zip tied that along the chassis rail. How are you you're not confident in doing this yourself, we do recommend getting a auto electrician to do that for you.
Thanks for the install, boys. Appreciate it.
Okay guys, that sums up today's video of us installing Next Gen Ranger rock sliders.
If you're interested in any other products, we make bash blades, recovery points, rock sliders for a range of other vehicles. Check out our website, bayhouse.com.au.